Hey everyone, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for hanging out with me for this December daily video. If you'd like to see what I'm going to do, stick around. Hey friends, it's the end of January and I am just starting to work on the second half of my December daily album, which means I'm not sure if I'm going to have a process video for most of the rest of the album or if I might just add extra videos throughout the week. And yeah, I'll probably just do that. I'll probably just add, since I went from doing weekly Archer and Olive videos in my daily, that's what I use for a daily journal. I've condensed them down to one video per month, so that will give me room to film, edit, and upload content for December daily since I'm so behind. So today is story 16, and it's going to be the first story in volume 2 of my December daily albums. I always get 2, and by always I mean this is only my second year. But last year I got 2, and I like not having to be restricted by space or embellishments. So this is going to be the story of going to see Disney on Ice, which we actually did on the 16th. I've already printed out my photos, and so what I've got here is a grid of pictures from going to see this amazing show. It was our favorite show out of like the 4 or 5 times we've gone, and they always do an amazing job skating and doing partner skating, but this year they had like ramps, like you can see. We were really late because traffic was insane getting into the parking garage, but you can see the Toy Story, like the green soldier has this giant ball and there's a ramp and he ended up throwing it and skating down the ramp. And then they were playing like kind of keepy uppy. If you're a bluey person, it's where you like just keep the ball in the air, and they were doing that with the crowd, which was really cool. And then, you know, Moana was operating this ship that was, you know, going off the ice. And then this was from Coco, and there were these giant, like this is super tall. You can't tell in the photo, but these people climbed up, and originally, like they're really only this tall, right, in real life. So this big, long skirt, part of this dress, was wrapped up around them, and you couldn't tell that it was going to be more fabric. So when they climbed up to the top, all of a sudden they let down this fabric and it was gorgeous. And then they just started like flinging themselves back and forth and back and forth, and it was insane. They were like blowing in the wind, or almost like those things you see outside of like a car dealership. That's what they were doing, and it was amazing. And then this is them well, from the same Coco scene, 2 different people doing like aerial stunts on the ropes. And then our favorite couple was Ariel and Eric, and they did things on ice way up in the air, suspended like by these ropes. And at one point she's literally laying on his feet upside down in the air. It was crazy. We were very, very impressed. And then there's Jasmine upside down with Aladdin. And Kristoff and Frozen did like a flip over these ramps. They also had a trampoline at some point. And then there's Elsa. And then this is the end where they kind of come out, and it was like a whole little like storyline, which was really cute. They had to go through each of the stories in some of the most popular Disney and Pixar movies to fill up Tinkerbell's like magic bottle until there was enough magic for her to come out. And it was really cute. So there's a bunch of the characters at the end. It was really, really fun. And the best part was they were free tickets gifted to me. So that was amazing. So my plan is to not really do too much because I love this grid. It speaks for itself. But because the story behind it is going to be sort of a grid story of my cats, which I'll get to. I have adhered it just to the one part of this photo, this pattern paper, which is from last year's release. And I'm going to have some journaling come up from here. I'm just going to write it by hand. And then I'm going to create a title here. And I thought it'd be really fun to use embossing powders to spell out Disney on Ice. So I have these 3 colors, blue tinsel, teal tinsel, and aqua tinsel to do that. I'm going to use these stamps from Allie Edwards to spell out Disney on Ice. And then I've got a bunch of different Disney stamps because we went to Disney last year and I wanted to do a Disney album, which I did. So you should check that out on my Try It Tuesday series playlist. But I have a bunch of stamps that I wanted to just do a little bit of stamping on a few photos. And then what else? I have one of the tickets. The other ones are my Project Life. And this little die cut piece from Paper Person Shop. I've got some hearts that I want to add from Studio Calico's Holly Jolly release. A couple of puffy stickers are also from Paper Person. I have these little sticky brads as well. So I'm not really sure, you know, exactly what's going to happen, but I do want to get started because I'm going to share stories 15 and 16 in this video. So let's go, let's go. Okay, so I had this idea and I thought, oh, I'm going to stamp Disney on Ice on this cardstock strip that I already measured and knew would fit above the photos. And I end up scrapping the first word that I stamped, Disney, because it did not come out well and the glitter kept coming off of it as I was working on the project. So I ended up restamping with the different Allie Edwards stamp set from a couple years ago or last year instead. And it seems to have worked a little bit better. So I just wanted to share that here. I'm going to edit out a lot of this part because I don't end up using it, but I just want to show you, you know, kind of how I did it with the Versamark ink and then my embossing powder that I showed you in the beginning. So I did end up keeping the on ice portion, and I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe the embossing powder, that darker blue, is older, or I don't know, but it just doesn't seem to work very well. I've never had that problem with like the plain embossing powder, but for some reason this tinsel one, which has different like pieces of glitter in it and probably has a different chemical makeup, it just doesn't do what I'd like it to do. So, you know, it is what it is, but I end up using the on ice part, like I said, and then I just use a little like dry paintbrush to try to get some of the excess powder off of there. Doesn't always work. It makes a huge mess. You know, it's definitely a messy project for sure. And I end up getting some of it stuck to the photo of my face in the middle, but that's fine. So I'm going to trim these down so that they fit a little bit better with the crease in the page and everything. Tape them with some score tape. The way I got it off was with some Undo, which is like a liquid that is highly flammable, but it smells, yeah, and it smells like it. It's a remover for adhesives, tapes, gum, all that kind of stuff, grease. And I bought it in bulk off Amazon. I think you can buy it for the most part, unless you're in California. I think it's restricted in California. So that's how I got the paper off of that photo at the top there and replaced the Disney word. So now I'm going to work on the insert here for my journaling, and I realize I have this extra ticket. We had 3 of them. The other 2, like I said, are in my Project Life, so I just trimmed that to fit the back side of my journaling insert there. So right now I'm just going to punch a hole in the top and use my crocodile to adhere a little eyelet. And then I settle on some blue ribbon that I have in my stash, but it's very messy and it's not very, yeah, I might go back and change the ribbon at the end. I wanted it because it was blue, but I might have to switch it out for something else. I'm not sure. But obviously here I'm trying to go with a blue theme, which is why I chose the blue eyelet. I don't love it, honestly, but I'm not going to go back and fix it at this point. I'm already pretty behind. And sadly, this is one of those stories that like didn't turn out the way you expect, like in your head. And we've all been there, right? Where like in your head, you have this idea and then you try to execute it and sometimes it just doesn't take, but that's okay. I'm going to embrace it and just keep going, even though I don't love that it's the first story in my second volume and it's like, meh, not the greatest. And it took me a long time because you'll see I'm going to get to it and add some things that I wasn't planning on at the beginning of planning this story. So I'm going to write on the front of this fast pass the date and the time of the show in the spot that allows for it, and then I'm going to figure out how I want to add these hearts to the front of the flap. These hearts are from Studio Calico. I've already selected the colors. I decided I'm going to stitch them on for fun because the pattern paper already kind of looks like stitching. This took me quite a while, and I did it all off camera because otherwise we would have been here all day. I do want to show you though how I poked through the heart, and I end up doing that with all of them, just going right down the middle, and the idea is to stitch them in a straight line, just doing a simple back stitch. If that's even what it's called, I don't know. I'm not, I don't sew. So I'm going to sew those onto the paper and then work on adding some extra little embellishments. So there you can see I've sewed them on. I did my journaling. I love the way the hearts look. I just wish the rest of the page looked as put together as the front. But it was just a mess between like the glitter everywhere with the embossing and then these sequins that I decided needed to be all over the page. It was a mess. So you can see I restamped Disney and then I glued all these tiny little sequins to the page. So some of them are from my stash and then some of them are from the Diary of Belle Rose. Yeah, I was trying to make it look like a winter wonderland, but I think it kind of looked like a sneezed sequin mess and glitter mess. But you know, it is what it is. I did a little stamping. The Make-A-Wish, Meet Me at the Castle, and In My Happy Place are all from one of those Studio Calico stamp sets. I don't end up using any of the other sticker embellishments from Paper Person, and then I'm going to move on to the next story, which is about our cats. So this came together really, really fast. It was super simple. I honestly needed it after the kind of mini disaster that was the first story 16. And there's no real journaling for the most part for this. It's literally just photos. And sometimes that's okay, right? And these are all just pictures of our cats and then my mother-in-law's new cat, which is the orange cat at the bottom, which will be at the bottom. And you know, you'll see that I keep it real simple. I just punched out all of these 2-inch, is it a 2-inch? Yeah, I think it's a 2-inch circle. And I decided it looks a little plain, so I back them with pattern paper. But before I do that, I realized I forgot to put a number on the first story. So I go into my stash and get these white numbers that are from, I think they're from the Paper Person shop. They're an older number. I don't like them. I think it's too big, so I decide to switch it out for Allie Edwards gold puffy numbers and just leave it as is on the front of that big plastic heart and decide that's good enough. I'll be honest, at this point I had no idea how I was going to do this. I even thought about like having each of the pictures pull up from behind and make little pockets and all kinds of flip ups, and I was like, I'm emotionally, mentally exhausted. So at the same time this was happening, my daughter was having a play date and I was going back and forth and refereeing and, you know, momming. So I was just not really here for it. Plus, I had worked all day yesterday on 3 stories. So in 24 hours, I've completed 5 stories in my December daily. So my brain is just kind of like, let's just keep it really simple. Let's not overdo it like I did with story 16 and have it not turn out the way you want it. So I kept it simple and I do really like it, even though it's so simple. You can see I really was playing around with these wreaths and die cuts and circle shapes. I don't end up using any of that. I finally decide on this red paper from the main kit this year. I wanted something that would show with a very, very small margin around the photo that I fussy cut around all of these circles. So they're obviously not perfect, but they're good enough for me. And so I'm just going to back all those, stick them down. And then the one, since I chose 5 photos, the top left photo, instead of the Season's Greetings die cut, I'm going to create a little flip open or lift up or whatever you want to call it. So that I'm doing that right now. I'm just trying to make sure it's about the same size as the other ones by taping it with washi tape to a different photo that I'd already finished so that they looked all the same size-ish. And that's what's going to house my number. I decided I wanted it there to be just a tiny bit of journaling, so I do end up adding onto that. I'm going to use some sticker paper to create the the flip up, and then I'm going to use this horizontal paper to do my journaling. And the journaling, let me open my December daily. It says, Jeeves and Smokey were trained early on to stay away from the tree. Sometimes at night, they'd lay near each other, but only on our laps. And the bottom photo I know is not our cat. It's my mother-in-law's cat, but I just like, it was such a special cat for me because it was our first time away from Smokey, our kitten. And I always miss Jeeves, who was my first cat. And he's really my cat, even though we originally got him for Nora. But she was so little then, and he was like not having it, which is why we ended up with Smokey. But the whole time I was in Michigan, I really missed the kittens. And so I was able to bond with this little kitty who was very, very skittish and didn't really allow anybody else to pet him. So that was really special. His name's Tomato, but they just call him Cat. So now I'm going to go back to the white puffy stickers for the numbers and actually use that for the number 17. And then I'm going to stamp out a title. At first I thought I was going to use a die cut or something. I also thought I was going to stamp just on sticker paper here and then put that down. But I end up choosing to use the same red pattern paper that I used as the background for the photos. And I'm glad I decided to do that because I think it breaks up the white space at the top, and I think it ties in nicely to the rest of the spread. So the stamp set is from last year's December daily, and I'm going to stamp out Meowie, and then in the smaller clean font, stamp out Catmiss. So I trimmed it down, and I had thought about like making it an oval shape, and then I was like, don't do it, don't get crazy, just trim around the words and leave it at that, Jen. So I did. I had a really hard time not adding more. As you can see, it's pretty simple for me. So I take a few of these chipboard hearts, I add reds and the black one to the page, and then I start looking at different embellishments, and I'm like, no. Finally, I decide on just using a couple, literally like 3 of the white chipboard stars that were in, I don't remember if they were in the main kit or if they're an add-on, but I end up using those to fill in a couple of spaces, but that's really it. And then I did add the die cut Circle Let Your Heart Be Light on the inside of the flap so that it wasn't just blank. And then I'm going to add this white pom-pom trim to the outside part of this story just to give it a little something extra. I felt like it did look like it needed some sort of border or like, yeah, just kind of like something to anchor it all. And I felt like this did a good job of achieving that for me anyway. In my head, it made sense, which is, you know, that's important, right? And then I just take my smart glue to add to the bottom of where I trimmed the pom-pom so that it doesn't fray. And that's basically it. I'm gonna glue the 2 pages together. And I do need to punch my holes in the side of the paper so it can go in the album. And the last thing I will do is add a little tab that says Mary, so that you know to lift it up. And I like how it kind of looks like an offset ornament. So I just tucked that underneath each of the flaps of paper there to keep it nice and clean and neat. So that's going to be it for this December daily video today, stories 16 and 17. I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. These are going to be some close-ups, which you can take a look at. Let me know if you have any questions at all, and I'll be happy to try to answer them in the comments. And thank you so much for being here. So do me a favor, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any of my content. And I will see you in the next video. Take care, friends, and remember that you are enough. And I love you guys. Have a great day. Bye.